All right, and welcome again to another edition of Tool of the Day from Marty Fennell's Garage. Okay, today we are going to be talking about the reciprocating saw. Okay, now I've been calling this thing a Sawzall for years, and it turns out that Milwaukee Manufacturing was the one that originated this particular tool, not this one, but they're developed it back in 1951. Easy for me to say. So the tool's been around for a very, very long time. Back then, what you see was all metal, so it was very, a little bit difficult to use in some situations. If you ended up cutting through something that was a live wire and hit the blade, it would come back through the saw and electrocute you. So today they're called double insulated. They're really made all out of plastic, and then again, where the handles are, there's an extra rubber for you, so there's very little to no chance that you're going to get electrocuted if you should cut through something. Okay, so reciprocating saw, but also known, if you go into somewhere, big box store, and ask for a Sawzall, you'll end up in the aisle that has these. Okay, so it's very easy to use, but again, like any saw, it can be very dangerous. So this one happens to have a foot. It's it's adjustable. Okay, it's a variable speed, so when you pull the trigger a little bit, it'll run slow, and if you pull it hard, the harder you pull the trigger, the faster it'll run until you pull it flat out, and then it'll run as fast as it can go. Okay, so it does, the reciprocating saw is all it does, it goes back and forth. The beauty of it is you can change the blades very easily. This one happens to be cordless. I wouldn't recommend a cordless one. They're very expensive, and if you're going to use it a lot, what more than likely will happen is the batteries run dead. Again, that depends on what you're cutting with it. If you're cutting a lot of soft material, it will last a long time, but if you're going to use it for some thick steel or cast iron, it's going to take you a long time to cut through it, and you're more than likely to run through batteries very quickly. So I'm going to show you a bunch of blades, and in a few minutes I'll show you how to make some cuts on it. So anyway, it's very easy to use. Your right hand goes here. There's a blade lock, so if you push this little button one way, and you pull it the other way, and then you can see the little red, then you know you're ready to go, because red means danger, and red means it's ready to operate. So now it's ready to work. Okay? So the best way to change the blades is to pull the battery out, so there's no chance to pull the trigger and having it cut you. And then all you're going to do is you're going to pull up on this little tab, and the blades come out. They pop out. And put a new one in. You just slide it back in, and then push this down, and it's locked back in. The beauty of these also is the blades can go in either way. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed that. Right now the blade cutting edge is up, and then I can turn it around so the cutting edge is down. I usually always have it in this way because I'm usually cutting somewhere where I want to cut nice and flat, and then the top side of the saw allows me to get flat to the stock and then not have to worry too much. The blades, this one happens to be a metal cutting blade, which I'll use in a minute, but it comes with a bunch of different, I'm just going to turn this around for you. Okay, it comes with a bunch of different blades. That one's real fine. They actually make a lot finer ones. I'll take some close-up shots of these later so you can see them, and they come in lots of different lengths also. This one again is metal. This one would be a combination blade, and it happens to be 9 inches long. Again, this one is made by Diablo. There's a bunch of different manufacturers. This one would be a combination blade, as I just said. It'll cut through wood as well as steel as well as plastic, just depending on what you're cutting, will depending on will depend on how the cut turns out. So if you're cutting metal, you want to use a real fine blade. If you're cutting wood, it really doesn't matter. You can hack through it anyway, because this is not a final cut. And here's another combination blade that is actually 12 inches long. So again, they make them a lot of sizes, a lot of different lengths. This one again is another steel blade, and this one is a Sawzall blade, and it's for cutting thicker metal. Okay, so very, very useful. Could be very, very dangerous. Again, when you're using it, make sure you have 2 hands on it so that it doesn't get away from you. It does tend to vibrate quite a bit. And again, if there are any issues with using it, just let go. And again, you don't have to buy one. If you go into any of the big box stores, they'll have a spot where you can rent one. I use this very, very often when I'm doing remodels. I'm going to show you shortly. I cut pipe, mostly cutting pipe, but if I'm putting in a new window, when I can't get the circular saw in a certain spot, this saw bails me out all the time, and it's very, very easy to use, and for the most part, very, very somewhat safe to use. Again, if you're using it wrong, you could hurt yourself. Just make sure you have 2 hands on it, and because of the fact that it's insulated, even if you cut through a live wire with the blade, it's not going to. It'll kill the circuit and trip the breaker, but it won't hurt you. It won't electrocute you. Okay, very good. So I'm going to show you a few cuts, and then I'll see you again. Okay. GoPro stuff. All right, as far as safety goes, always make sure you have a good pair of safety glasses on your face when you're using any kind of saw, this one or anyone, and a good pair of leather gloves is probably a good thing to have also, just so you can keep your fingers from getting any kind of splinters or pinched in any way. Okay, safety first, safety, safety, safety. Okay. Okay, the first one I'm going to show you here is a cut on a 6x6. That's a 5.5 by 5.5 square block. And what happens is, as I'll show you in a minute, when you cut it with a circular saw, a 7.25 inch circular saw, it doesn't cut through all the way, so you're going to need to separate the two pieces by cutting a little tab that's in there with the Sawzall. And again, this is exclusively how I build my decks when I build them out of 6x6s, so I'm using this constantly. So here we go. Well, let's hopefully that showed you without vibrating you too much. But here on this piece, you can see where I have that little section right there that was holding it together that I had to cut free. Okay, so now I have a metal cutting blade here, and I'm going to cut through this piece of copper. Okay, as you can see, very, very efficient, very quick. Okay, here's the same blade cutting a piece of 1.5 inch PVC pipe. Alright, and here's a piece of polyethylene pipe, which is the most modern plumbing, and this will cut through here very quickly and very cleanly. So, alright, so the reciprocating saw, very, very useful. It's always on the truck. Whenever I'm doing a remodel, I have it with me. It has pretty much replaced this. This is a hand hacksaw, which are still useful, but again, if you only have a couple of things to cut, these are typically just for cutting metal. The Sawzall, you can change blades and cut wood, as you saw. They actually have blades that you can put in here for pruning trees. It is extremely, extremely useful. And on average, if you bought a corded one, the corded ones are less expensive than the battery ones. They are probably about $125, $130. If you buy you probably can get them less than that. But if you buy a battery operated one, it's probably a $300 item. They're very expensive. But again, they afford you the ability to move around without being plugged in, but the batteries don't last all day or very long. Okay, again, thank you very much. I'm going to add some photos, still shots of the blades that I have out here. Very useful tool. Once again, stay strong, stay away, and this will go away. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you soon.